is Mark 20, and I'm going to be your guide.
So next hall is dedicated to the Greeks. So we have this Neolithic matriarchal culture. Then we have the Thracians. After the Thracians, we have the ancient Greeks. This is 6th century before Christ. The Greeks colonized the whole Black Sea coast. Now, this is a very good example of Thracian influence over the Greeks, but because at some point the Greeks started using these vessels, hydria it's called, the vessel, as cremation urns. So this is a cremation urn, which is a typical Thracian ritual, custom. So we know for sure that they adopted this from the Thracians. So we knew he was a man, we knew he won something. And then when you open the vessel, inside we found this is very typical for the Greeks to put some personal belongings, inside. And so we discovered this tool, which is used by wrestlers, yeah, okay, because they had the so-called oil wrestlings. Anyone heard of oil wrestlings? No, they put olive oil, the whole body, before the wrestling. Just more fun for the. Yeah, for the people that are watching, it's more fun, You try to, grab him in his hips, it's just more fun for the crowd. Yeah, anyway, but after the wrestling, with this tool, they used to clean themselves. Okay, it's called Strigil. It's like a knife, but it's not as sharp, so they used to clean themselves, and it was placed inside. So that's how we knew, finally, what did he win. The Romans later used the same tool, Strigil, found inside, to collect the sweat of gladiators. Yes, and the sweat of gladiators was sold as Aphrodisiac. You know Aphrodisiac? You know what Aphrodisiac is? Yeah? Okay. So they used to sell in these little bottles the sweat of the gladiator. It was very expensive.
So are there ashes?
This was a teacher, a philosopher, some of a teacher, for example. You can tell the occupation of the person. When you go onto the grave, but what's interesting is that depending on your rank, there is very strict hierarchy in society, right? So depending on your status, on your rank, the secretary is a little bit shorter because he's not a magistrate, right? And the small ones are slaves. Not because they were shorter, just because they're slaves, the lowest status, and that's why they're so small. But this is typical of the Greeks, only they do that again. People think they're children, which makes more sense, but the defining feature of the Orthodox Church, this is the icons, right? It's like the icons. Okay. And there are very strict rules. You can't improvise when you start painting an icon. You have to follow very strict rules. And so there are 5 ways you're allowed to represent the Virgin Mary, and this is the most common type. You've seen this icon, I guess everyone's seen it, because the Catholics also, they call it Madonna with child or something like that. We call it the pointing virgin. She points to the way. It's like Jesus is the way for your salvation. So she shows it to the people. It's like, you see this guy just gave birth to, This is the way for salvation. Yes, Jesus presents him to the people. Now she always wears blue underneath and red on top, opposite to Jesus, who's wearing red and then blue. Because the red was considered color of God, blue was the color of human. Right? So Jesus was God first, red underneath, later became human, adopted human image, so it has blue. She is the opposite, blue and red. She always has these 3 stars here, which is the stars of virginity, stars of purity. The church insists very much that she remained virgin throughout her whole life. So she was a virgin before, during, and after the birth of Christ. And the 3rd star is the most important after the birth, because 2 of the Gospels say very clearly that Jesus had brothers and sisters. Anyone read the Bible? No? Okay. In the Gospel of Luke, very clear, they're even named 4 brothers by name. And sisters. So the church, that's why the church says that these were children of Joseph before he married Mary, which is absurd. And they insist that she remained virgin, and that's why the 3 stars, this is the most important. After the birth of Jesus, she remained virgin. This is no, you're doing it wrong. These 2 fingers should be up. These 2 up, like this. Yeah. This is the Holy Trinity, 3 fingers together. Father, Son, and Spirit. Oh. Right? And the 2 fingers up is the double nature of Jesus.
The what of the?
Double nature. It was God and human.
Oh.
You know, in the early church, they used to fight. Was Jesus really a human? Or he just appeared to heaven, but he's just a spirit? Some say he was fully human. He needed to eat and to sleep, whatever. So finally, just kind of solving, it doesn't really solve the issue, but finally they said, okay, let's say he had 2 natures. He was God and human at the same time. And this is the most important scene, the Annunciation. You know that scene? Annunciation, the good news. Anyone? No? Okay. You know, what I notice about Americans is that you're either super religious or you're just hardcore atheist. There is no middle ground. No, I'm serious. I've been to the States twice, by the way. Once in Chicago and once in Florida. They had this student exchange program. Now Trump stopped the student exchange program. No more, but I went twice for a few months.
It's a bunch of heathens.
I never seen a middle ground, You just science focused and, you need proof or don't have a proof in science, then it's all bullshit. Or, or it's the other way. The other extreme is you believe the Bible will take every word literally, which is also nonsense. So
it's very dualistic.
Yes, dualistic. Yeah. I'm sorry if I don't get me wrong. I don't want to insult anyone or anything. I noticed that you guys are two extremes.
Always.
This is the most important scene because this is the beginning of salvation. That we talked about that Jesus is the way for your salvation, but that's how everything started. When this archangel Gabriel appeared to the Holy Virgin Mary and told her that the good news is that you're going to give birth to this very special child and so on. She was surprised. She said, "Come on, I haven't been with a man." No. He said, "Don't worry, nothing's impossible for God." And you see the Holy Spirit here. This is very interesting. So from the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Spirit. Father is not allowed to paint. The Son is Jesus, right? You can paint. And the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, if you want to paint, the only way you are allowed to paint, to represent the Holy Spirit is a white dove, right? Or a pigeon. Which one is more? I don't know. Dove, yeah. So, but here they want to show her that she gets pregnant through the Holy Spirit. So you see the dove is going towards her, and she gets pregnant through the Holy Spirit. But it's the most important scene at the end because it's considered the beginning of salvation. That's how everything started. It's the first scene. If you read the Gospels, the New Testament, it's the first scene. That's why it's so important. So this is really breaking the rules because it shows the resurrection of Jesus, which is never painted on an icon because it's not described in the Bible. In the Bible it says they buried Jesus and then they find empty grave. How he resurrected, it's nowhere described. And they shouldn't paint this one. So I guarantee you this is the only icon you'll see of the resurrection of Jesus. This one is really breaking the rules. And because it's not according to the rules, it's open for interpretations. You can decide. Some say these are teeth, right? Clouds, stones. I've heard it all, because it's not according to this canon, the rules. And you can interpret it. Try to imitate, you need to, this is I, C, with the fingers, copy the letters. Try to imitate the letters. See the idea?
Yeah, that's hard to do.
He's so, with one hand, 4 letters.
Yeah,
but I'm going to say that this image of Jesus is adopted by the Greeks to look like Zeus. You know?
Wow.
Zeus was the supreme god. The Greeks had many gods, but Zeus was like the boss of the god. He was the supreme god. So this new guy, Jesus, this new faith comes, the emperor decides that this is now a new religion. But they wanted this new god to look like Zeus, a little bit, to have some continuity in a way. You can still go in Greece nowadays, you can see the statue of Zeus with the beard, the long hair on the throne. It's like almost identical to Jesus. So this image is the Greek, because in the Rome they had these catacombs. The Christians, when they're still persecuted, they used to hide in these catacombs. And there, you can still go in Rome and see.
I'm walking in Nessebar. It's International Unified Sports U.S. State Department sponsored trip to Bulgaria. It's been a pretty cool trip. I mean, we just had a tour of the museum, and now we were released to go walk around Nessebar. And just like all these ruins everywhere, like here to the left. Check that out. What is that? Looks like a church of some sorts, right? Cool. The trip so far has been great. I mean, I've been seeing a lot and learning a lot, participating. It's really been a cultural exchange. It's just been be who you are, and maybe you can learn something from who other people are. That's been just walk from one end of the city to the other. Little cat. And then I'll turn around and walk back. Thoughts. This is the old city of Nessebar, which is pretty dang cool and historic. Ooh. So it's really a cool old city, Nessebar, on the Black Sea. And if I do this grad research, this PhD with Towson University, it's in combination with the National Sports Academy in Nessebar. Wow, how cool would that be? To just come out here to Nessebar, the old town of Nessebar from time to time, and check it out. Oh my goodness. The Black Sea. They have only little fish in the Black Sea, so they have like horse mackerel is what they call them. I don't know why they call them horse mackerel, but they have horse mackerel. Absolutely stunning. They go and they fish and they come back. This is a museum you. Ah, thank you.